The files did not arrive all at once. They appeared in fragments, sealed folders, redacted pages, schedules without explanations, names without context. According to records, what existed publicly was never the full picture. There were omissions that seemed deliberate, absences that repeated themselves across documents from different years and different jurisdictions. Reports suggest that the story surrounding Jeffrey Epstein was not only about one man, but about a structure that allowed information to remain incomplete and accountability to remain distant. From the beginning, Epstein's rise into elite financial and social circles appeared unusually opaque. There were no clear explanations for how his wealth was first accumulated. Documents indicate that his early career moved quickly from modest positions into private financial management for individuals of extraordinary influence. According to former associates quoted in public records, his role was often described vaguely, with titles that shifted and responsibilities that were never clearly defined. Flight logs, contact books, calendars, and settlement agreements would later become central to public scrutiny. Yet even within these materials, patterns of absence emerged. Names were sometimes replaced with initials. Entire pages were blacked out. Dates were present without destinations. Reports suggest that these omissions were not random, but consistent with legal strategies designed to limit exposure rather than clarify facts. Court filings reveal that as early as the mid-2000s, concerns were raised by local authorities. Investigations began, stalled, resumed, and then narrowed. According to records, certain prosecutorial decisions resulted in agreements that were highly unusual in scope and secrecy. These agreements, later unsealed in part, indicated that federal authorities were informed but declined to intervene. The reasons for this reluctance remain contested. Documents indicate that non-prosecution agreements included language that shielded unnamed individuals from future liability. These clauses were not widely disclosed at the time. According to reports, even some victims were unaware of the full terms. The existence of such protections would later raise questions about whose interests were being prioritized. As years passed, Epstein continued to travel, host, and cultivate relationships. Flight manifests suggest repeated trips involving private aircraft, often to private islands or secluded estates. The names recorded alongside these flights have been the subject of intense public speculation. According to records, inclusion on a flight log does not itself indicate wrongdoing. However, the reluctance to release full contextual information has kept speculation alive. Financial documents indicate a complex network of shell companies and trusts. These entities obscured ownership and control. Reports suggest that such structures made it difficult to trace money flows, donations, and payments. In some cases, charities appeared to function more as financial conduits than traditional philanthropic organizations. When civil lawsuits began to surface, patterns again emerged. Certain names were referenced indirectly. Others were excluded entirely. Judges ordered partial disclosures, but redactions persisted. According to court transcripts, arguments for secrecy often cited privacy concerns, reputational harm, or ongoing investigations. Critics argued that these justifications prolonged uncertainty rather than resolved it. The media response evolved over time. Early coverage was limited and fragmented. Some outlets pursued the story aggressively, while others treated it as peripheral. Reports suggest that editorial hesitation may have been influenced by the stature of individuals potentially implicated. Lawsuits alleging defamation or reputational harm loomed over publishers. Epstein's arrest in 2019 marked a turning point, but not a resolution. According to records, the charges focused narrowly on specific conduct within defined timeframes. Broader questions about networks, enablers, and systemic failures remained largely unaddressed. Investigators indicated that inquiries were ongoing, yet progress appeared slow. The circumstances of Epstein's death introduced a new layer of uncertainty. Official findings described a suicide, but acknowledged procedural failures. Cameras malfunctioned. Checks were missed. According to reports, these lapses fueled public skepticism. Conspiracy theories flourished, often filling gaps left by incomplete information. Following his death, attention shifted to document releases. Courts ordered the unsealing of materials related to civil cases. Each release generated headlines, but also confusion. Names appeared without context. Associations were implied but not explained. According to legal experts, such disclosures can mislead as easily as they inform. Some individuals named in documents issued public denials. Others declined to comment. A few acknowledged contact with Epstein while disputing any knowledge of criminal activity. According to records, social association alone does not constitute evidence of wrongdoing. Yet the absence of thorough investigations into these connections left questions unresolved. Financial institutions faced scrutiny as well. Documents indicate that banks continued to provide services despite internal warnings. Compliance reports flagged risks, but relationships persisted. According to regulatory findings, penalties were imposed years later, often framed as failures of oversight rather than complicity. Political dimensions also emerged. Epstein's connections spanned administrations and parties. Donation records, meeting logs, and correspondence suggested access across ideological lines. Reports indicate that this bipartisan reach complicated accountability, as no single faction could claim neutrality. Victims' accounts, when examined collectively, revealed consistent patterns. Recruitment methods, locations, and behaviors repeated across years. According to testimony, complaints were often dismissed or minimized. The burden of proof fell heavily on those with the least power. Civil settlements provided compensation but limited disclosure. Non-disclosure agreements restricted what could be said publicly. According to legal analysts, such settlements can resolve individual claims while preserving systemic opacity. International aspects further complicated the picture. Properties in multiple countries raised jurisdictional challenges. Law enforcement cooperation varied. According to records, some potential evidence remained outside U.S. reach. As time passed, public attention fluctuated. New document releases reignited interest, then faded. Each cycle left behind more names, more speculation, and more unanswered questions. Reports suggest that without a comprehensive inquiry, the full scope of influence may never be known. The phrase "hidden names" became a shorthand for the unknown. It referred not only to individuals, but to processes that kept information compartmentalized. Hidden deals described agreements, understandings, and decisions made behind closed doors, often justified as legal necessity. According to historians of power structures, secrecy is not an anomaly, but a feature. It protects institutions from instability. In this case, secrecy appeared to shield not just reputations, but systems that benefited from silence. The Epstein files, as they exist publicly, are incomplete by design. They reveal enough to suggest depth, but not enough to provide closure. Each page invites interpretation. Each redaction signals a boundary. What remains is a record of influence without full accountability. According to observers, the true significance of the case lies not only in the crimes alleged, but in the mechanisms that delayed, diluted, or deflected scrutiny. As long as documents remain sealed and questions remain unanswered, the story continues. Not as a single narrative, but as a collection of fragments, hidden names, hidden deals, and a silence that, according to records, was maintained by many for many years.